and welcome. So I am doing this is my new video for the Truth About Parenting series that I've been doing, and today I'm talking about teaching kids about saving money and about the value of things. Not the last Christmas, but the Christmas before, I decided that I would make my son his own advent calendar, and I basically used a box I had from delivery from Amazon, and that I would make him his own advent calendar. And basically I got a load of I ordered some boxes, accessible, self-assembled boxes, and I had lots of things from Christmas crackers, and I made him his own advent calendar, and I thought I would do it to make it a bit different, because I don't want Henry to always have chocolate all the time when it comes to advent calendar. Not that I've got a problem with him having sweets and stuff, that's fine, but I do think it has to be in moderation, And so teaching, for me, I've always been a saver and someone who has always valued the things I've got, because I saved up for my own TV when I lived in a housing estate, and I've always been like that, and I will have like a splurge sort of once or twice a year, and then I will stop. And it's something that I've done for a long time, and I think you should teach kids about money, because it's important for their independence. I learned how to count money a long time ago, and I've saved some money for my son to play with, but I don't want him to have that yet. I want to wait till we are in a new place to do that, and I'll let him play with the money and have a chill with real money and teach him, because I think it's a great valuable lesson to do so. I've always been I wasn't very good at maths, but the one thing I've always been very vigilant with is looking after my financial life. And I'm now going to be in a place where I won't have to worry about that as much, but it still doesn't mean that I'm going to, go haywire, because I've now got money that will mean I am financially free. And it's taken a long time to get here, and I, was told that, you should spend some of your money, and I'm never going to say it to somebody, because when I heard that, it did kind of make me go a little bit like, oh, perhaps I shouldn't save then, But teaching kids to save and invest money is better than teaching them that here's your money, now go and spend it, Teach kids about bank accounts and the best ones to have, and about, the stocks and shares. I know that you can't really teach a 5-year-old that kind of thing, because it probably would be, complicated, but you can still teach them about, saving money, the cost of things, and, investment, about investing money, and simple things like what APR means, and, and so, I think that that's one of the best things that I've learnt since being a kid, since a child myself. I always used to watching my mum fill in, her checkbook, and I always used to do the same thing, I always used to put down, the amount, because I used to pay a lot of things by cheque before the internet came along, because I think I think that's more or less scrapped now. When it comes to cheques, it's all now about balance transfers, because it is a better method, really. And with the modern technology, you don't really need a chequebook as such, because you pay for things straight away without having to worry about, all that. But at the same time, it's, good to learn about different aspects of, the value, counting 1p, counting 2p's, things like, what is a loan? Because I didn't even know what a mortgage was. I know it sounds really daft, but for a long time, I didn't know what mortgage was, And I think that's the kind of thing that should be taught in schools about that, because it's something that they need to learn from when they become independent, And that's what I always think of when I teach my son things, and when I have other children that I'm planning to have, that I want to teach them about, financial side of life, I think it's important that we make our children as independent as possible, so they don't have to rely on you as a parent all the time. I don't want Henry thinking that life is about a free ticket, because at the end of the day it's not, And if he really wants something badly, not so I would buy him birthday gifts. I would always still buy him gifts for his birthday. I'm even planning, hopefully I'll see him, Easter time, and I want to make some, Easter baskets, because it's just something I like to do. And so, when you do your budget, always think about those sort of things, And I'm going to do that. So I've done like a work one, but now I'm going to sit down and go through, other, because I know I've decided now to work my money is to do it quarterly rather than weekly, monthly, and I know how much I spend on groceries. At the minute it's £20 a week, and that works for me. But soon I can increase that, because at the moment all I'm buying for is me. But then I have weeks where I won't spend any money on groceries, which I'm really grateful for in a minute, and then we'll save money and use what's already accessible to me, And that is also something you should teach kids about grocery shopping, and what to look for when you go shopping. Because when I go shopping, I don't just look at the eye level shelves. I look at the bottom shelves. I look at them, I look at all the shelves in front of me to see what is the best value product, in terms of like chocolate spread. And I know this is a true kids, but of course kids know brands, they do. And the one thing that lots of retailers do is they catch in on what kids are currently into, and they did that with Frozen, they've done it with Early World dolls, they've done it with Teletubbies, anything that's investable that will grab a kid's attention, they will advertise. And that's the other thing that you should teach kids about false advertising, Just because they have a very friendly tiger on a pack of Frosties doesn't mean that that's a, you should always rely on buying those brands, because I think the kids need to understand about the value of a product, because lots of like chocolate spread are all made a lot of the time in the same factory. They're all in the same factory. And if you watch a programme, they have a BBC one called Eat Well for Less, and they talk about that, and they showed it when it came to like pies. And a lot of the retailers will go to the same factory and say, I've got an idea for a chocolate spread, for example, but it's going to be more healthier, have more nutrients and value to it, and nutritionally, and we want to lower the budget so we can lower the price of the product. And that's exactly what they do. And so teaching kids about the different, why sometimes it's best to buy home brands rather than premium brands, because premium brands will always take advantage of because they will, lots of like things like bubble bath and cereals, drinks, they will use it to make it child friendly, because if a child likes it, their parents will buy it, you know, and that's always often the way. But if you teach kids, you know, get them to do a taste test and see, right, now what's the different? Can you taste the difference? And then no, it's because most of the time they're made the same factory. So teaching them about, you know, just because it's got a friendly tiger on the front doesn't make it more valuable than a one that just shows what's inside the package, which is the cereal. Not saying that you shouldn't allow your kids to make choices. What I would like to do when I'm with my son again, and other kids I have, is to have them to tick a list of the items they love, you know, and give them a shopping allowance each to choose items that they want me to buy for them in terms of groceries and that. And give them a budget, because I think that's a really great way of teaching kids about budgeting, and that, you know, and allowing them the choice, but also understand that, you know, just because it's a high brand and it's got, you know, pictures, it doesn't make valuable, but they can still have it, but within their allowance. And that's not being strict. You're teaching about the value of things and giving them choices, so when they become independent. You know, when you take them shopping, for example, don't make it into a chore, make it into a game, and see, you know, how many things they can get on your list, and what items they can get cheaper, you know, which still tastes nice, still has like a, you know, attractable label on, but it will help them to, you know, see that, you know, that not all the child captured, you know, products are more valuable than one that's, you know, not so, you know, towards kids, you know. But I would still give them an allowance and give them a choice of things that they you know, would like to have. And I would give them like an option of like 5 to 6 things, or probably 10, between 5 and 10, I would say, items. And I think that's a great way of doing it, because then they understand that, okay, that their allowance and have this much to spend, and get them to show them how to add up, and, you know, and teach about adding up, taking away, which really is important. You know, multiplication, yes, definitely. And I am thinking now of redoing or having getting a qualification in my maths, because I've got to say, when I was at school, I think a lot of the time it was because I was very rebellious when it came to school. It was not my favourite place. It's the last place I wanted to be most of the time, and I saw it as a chore. School, yeah, I did. I saw it as a burden and a place where, you know, and they even, you know, got bags and emu turned up, I'll still hate it, you know. So, but I think if they teach, you know, that's why, you know, I think with the lockdown and we can make, you know, education fun, you know. And I am thinking of, I mean, I do want him to go to school still, but I'm thinking at some point that I would like to have him and other children that I have to have home education, because of the fact that I think that's teaching classes, for me, that when classes were made fun and more engaging, then I concentrated and it grabbed my attention. when it became sitting down and having to be quiet and look at the textbook, it was like I'd rather watch paint dry than be there, you know. So I think with the homeschooling, you know, let's take the opportunity to make it fun and teach them about money and have them select a few things. Give them a budget each and write down or help them with a list, because Henry's just started to get into writing now, which is really good. You know, sometimes it does take kids a lot of time, and don't worry if they're a bit behind on that, because they will catch up. It's just that kids learn at different levels, so don't be put off by, you know, if they're not writing as such yet, because everything is a process when it comes to children. For me, writing was something that I did from a very early age and that I loved and enjoyed. So we're reading books and you know, writing stories is something I always did. But other kids, you know, Henry was more into the physical activity, like playing football, you know, he like playing matching pairs and those sorts of games rather than doing writing games. But now he's getting into it. And what I would do is get them to pick at least between 5 to 10 things that they want on the shopping list, give them a budget and allowance, and you know, and see how, you know, and make it a game of it to see how much they can save within their budget. And with all the money that they save, it gets put into a money box that they can then have more of a budget the next shopping. And that's a really great way of teaching them about, you know, rewards. Same, you can even do it with them doing chores, because that's one thing that I was trying to teach Henry, was how to, you know, get him to make his bed in the morning. And he did kind of get into it. How to, when he came in from school, I would teach him how to make his own sandwich, and he really enjoyed that. When it came to cleaning, and he did, my son Henry copies a lot, and whenever he saw the polish and the duster, he'd pick it up, tend to spray it and wipe, and I thought, wow, great. So I said, oh, come on Henry, let's do some cleaning. So I gave him a duster. I mean, him start cleaning. He wasn't cleaning, but I could see that he was like thinking, oh, this is fun activity, so I've got to take advantage, and that's the way of doing it. And every thing that they do on their chore list, you can put it towards their grocery shopping allowance that they can have, as well as toys, you know. And teaching kids about budgeting and looking after money, I think it's one of the most valuable things you can teach children, and one that I'm glad that I was taught, because it has helped a huge amount. And while I am very, what they say in America, frugal, if I can get, like these, for these example, you know, these are not fancy, are they? They've got no kids picture, they haven't got Cadbury's on it, but I wanted to sit, but when looking in Tesco's, which is one of the main shops I shop in, and Sainsbury's, and even Asda, even though they, I would say Asda is one of the most cheapest of supermarkets, along with Morrison's, I do find that their hot drink products are still quite pricey. So I thought I would check Marks & Spencer's, because even though Marks & Spencer's can be quite high end, there are some really good items that you can get for really better value and cheaper. And these are examples. These come in a box of 10, and they are really nice hot chocolates, you know. And I've saved myself a lot of money. So teaching kids that about different stores and make it fun, you know. Don't always go to the same supermarket. Take them to a different one, you know. Make shopping fun and use those activities to do homeschooling, as well as, you know, into a fun activity rather than a chore and something like, so I used to dread going shopping. And said my brother, and we would often play up a lot when it came to grocery shopping, because we didn't want to be there. You know, we felt like we'd been dragged along, and it was like our worst thing. But then we'd made a mistake. The only time I was happy about shopping was when I was very hungry and I wanted things to eat, and that is the worst time to shop. Is when you are hungry, because then you want everything on the list or everything in the supermarket, and that's when you can end up spending so much money. I remember once. I think I have, since things have changed for me. I've managed to save a heck of a lot than before, because at one point, the shopping budget was about between £40 to £60 a week home shops, and that to me is extortionate. I still think, and that was just because it was three of us, and I remember thinking, bloody hell, that is a lot of money, and then I was going to get some more in the week, and it does add up after a while. And I am someone who uses spreadsheets and would work it out, and it's a good. And I will still do that. I don't do it all the time, but I will sit down and go through like a budget and my finances and work through, things I like to invest in next. And I think teaching kids that how to draw up a budget, on things is a good skill. And whilst we're still in lockdown, they are one of the really great things you can do in homeschooling. Is teach them how to have a maths and money, an hour class or something to teach them about it, and get them to look through the different online shops and see if they can get their favourite food but for cheaper. And I think that's a great way of teaching kids about money, and it's one of the things that I would say definitely to teach at an early age, because it has been a great learning subject for me, and has been one of the things that has helped me. Now I'm 42, and to be not having to rely on money and save, and so that's it's all about, for me, parenting is all about helping them to become independent, and that's important to me. So I want to get to the stage where Henry makes his bed in the morning. Now, I'm not always a good bed maker. I'm not at all. But but it is something that I am going to try and get into doing. Once I get into my own place again, it is one thing that is going to be, important to me. It's because I'm still living under, parents' roof, and I do want to move on now, because it's like, it's not the same as having your own place. It's different. And you feel like you can't come and go as much as when you're in your own sort of place and environment. So I am really looking forward to being in my place again, and just and do my thing, and teach Henry, if he has some homeschooling days still, about money, because it is one of the, I would say, the major topics to help kids be independent. So anyway, so that's that's it really for today's Truth About Parenting, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.